Oh shit, we're doing it. So we're back again. Another week. Another episode. Positive Sharks Chat. We got myself, Garrett. We got Terrell, Thomas, Amanda, Brandon. Those are going to be the people that are talking
Hello,
with us. How you guys been? What you guys been up to?
The huge Red Dead.
Right? Anyone not playing Red Dead yet?
I'm playing a bunch of the real life simulator where I have to work.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not quite as fun as the chores you get to do in Red Dead.
True.
I think Thomas is the only one that's beaten it, I guess.
We're close.
I haven't even played it yet.
So yeah, okay. Not that many of us. 3 out of 5. To-do list, I guess.
It's really good.
Did you try the online?
No, I'm probably not even gonna really look into that too much. The whole lasso thing kind of. I'm not trying to deal with griefers right now. Like, it was already bad in
But they
GTA
made it so
5.
you can like respawn other places and not have to do
Yeah,
it.
but even then, like, if they're having to take steps, then it's already a problem.
I've been seeing a bunch of the shenanigans with Lasso so far.
It's just GIF after GIF for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh god, that seems frustrating.
But are they making them work on a farm? Do you guys want to hear a funny story real
God.
quick?
Oh,
we were
God.
playing Red Dead with a friend. Garrett, you should put yourself on push to talk because I can hear myself echoing.
Oh, okay. Well,
We were playing Red Dead with a friend, and he lassoed this dude and killed him, and then tried to like break out all his cows from his farm, and then he realized that now the cows have no farmer, so he like found another person that was just traveling by and lassoed him and was like, you work here now, and put him in with the cows. And like the guy was mad and he ran away, and then he came back and the guy was, I shit you not, working on this damn farm. He was just working there. He works there now. It was really funny.
It's like Arma, where everybody role plays, and you have to kind of be your. I guess if you get lassoed and like, shanghaied onto a farm, you work at that farm.
But it was like a computer, like it wasn't online. It was like
Oh, it was
the game
just a
was
straight
like,
NPC?
You're talking about
Yeah.
yeah, no, yeah. This is just single player. We were getting
Oh my
NPCs to
God.
do
I guess
shit.
they're throwing in the
That's kind
algorithm.
of cool.
I guess
That
I
was
work
funny.
here now.
It was funny. I was like, what? Then he accidentally killed that guy, and then we had to find a different farmer, and that was kind of like what we did for like an hour. It was funny.
You keep dying in horrible field accidents because they're really bad at their jobs.
So, on the subject of Red Dead, pretty much for a lot of people, it's Game of the Year material. Single player story being one of the more fleshed out experiences that people have, actually come across. Getting props even from CD Projekt Red, saying that they want Cyberpunk to be as refined as Red Dead. So, we see praise for games that have these deep stories and characters that aren't even part of the story, but just being dropped in this world to help flesh it out. And it seems like we still all appreciate it and take notice of it. But you also have, on the flip side, you have games like Call of Duty, who have now completely gotten away from their single player experience and their stories to sell just a multiplayer title. I mean, it seems like some of these bigger developers are stepping away from single player experiences. I think even to go as far as saying it's kind of a dead. No one wants to play them, I guess, was kind of more the phrase. No one wants to play single player games anymore. Obviously, it's being proven false, but like, if they're thinking it for a reason. Is there still room? We still seem to enjoy it.
I'll tell you, there's always going to be room. I mean, just look at have you all played the Spider-Man Homecoming game?
No.
Mm-mm.
Oh my
I
God,
want to.
that is so much fun. And it's not a multiplayer game. It's a straight solo campaign. And there's tons of people that love it. I love it. I've pretty much all my friends who played it absolutely love it. And of course, there's still going to be story-driven games that people want to play. That's just how it's going to be.
I agree. I mean,
Yeah, I think that. Or go ahead, Minna.
I just played Detroit, and that shit was awesome. I don't know, like, I want to play more. Like after playing Detroit, I was like, what other games are like this that I can find? So
I mean, Detroit's kind of one end of the spectrum almost, where for what it is, it's almost zero. I would call it gameplay. I mean, it's quick time events, even like quick dialogue. It's still just quick time events, but it's still enjoyable. I had a good time. I didn't play that much of it, just watching it. But that's what it was. It was kind of a cinematic experience for you to just sit back, make some quick choices, maybe, but not really have to stress that much. Like there wasn't a skill that you had
like
to build.
Life is Strange would be.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so I mean, at a point there was even indie games coming out, and it got thrown around, walking simulators, where it's like you're not fighting stuff, you're not surviving. It's just you're literally point A to point B, and there's a story being told between. Like those games seem to have come about for a reason, right?
hmm Well, I mean, there's a bunch of those. Just I call them, in my head, I think of them just as cinematic games. That's what they are. It's a game where you're pretty much just watching a story, a movie go through, and then you have tiny inputs here and there to see where you're going to lead up to. And those intrigue me. Like back whenever the Walking Dead had one for Xbox. I played the shit out of that. I love that.
Yeah, it was a Telltale.
It was, yes, Telltale. Mhm.
Telltale made like a bunch of games that I thought
Oh,
were
yeah.
great, and I guess nobody played them. But
Well, they flooded their own market. It was a weird way to go about it.
Yeah.
Like they kind of got success with one and just went, okay, let's do it with this IP and then this IP, and all of a sudden you had a bunch of games. They're just different IPs but the same game.
Like Guitar
Yeah.
Hero syndrome, essentially.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I
think it's cool. I think there should be more story mode kind of games, and kind of what Brandon was saying, like it's like a cinematic experience. It almost feels like those kind of games help people who aren't traditionally gamers get into games, because it's like an interactive movie. Like to me, at least, it's how I viewed Detroit. It literally felt like I was watching a movie, but also I could interact with it. Like I could change things in it, and it was kind of like less stress than playing a traditional game, but also like some of the stressful parts in that movie in that game, because I was so immersed, seemed like even more stressful than watching a movie that had like a thrilling part. I don't know. It was cool to me though.
who actually said that single player games were done? It was like EA or somebody, right?
I think that was the rumor. Yeah, I don't know if it's actually quoted.
Maybe I'm just like cynical about
I'm
this,
pretty sure
but
it was.
I feel like whoever said that was just like, it's like EA or somebody who makes like online games, and online games are just easier to monetize with microtransactions. Or
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
they
they're
hope
like,
that
they're
you're
just trying to make more money.
Let's go on the flip side source back to Counter-Strike source back in the day. You know,
Right.
starting off the whole just straight multiplayer, kind of team v team.
See,
Let's do this.
I kind of feel like there's an inference to be made to the development of technology, because initially, like in the early 2000s to the mid 2000s, you had like your big ticket games were really single player. You had multiplayer experiences, but it was kind of a separate aspect of the market from the big single player releases, like say Half-Life 2, for instance, were around that time. Then Call of Duty sort of started to marry the idea of, hey, let's do a single player campaign, let's include a multiplayer element. And I think as time has gone on, those two have separated more and more to where, if I want to play something strictly multiplayer competitive, I can get that. But if I want something that's incredibly story based, I can get that. And not just from AAA developers, from a lot smaller studios that are doing, more interesting kind of niche games and projects.
Okay, so I looked up the EA thing, and basically he didn't say single player. He was saying more so linear games are people aren't as interested in linear storylines anymore. And I think we kind of touched on it in a previous episode that open world games are something that have become so popular. Like everybody wants to make one because they make money. Like they're easy to monetize and add microtransactions, as we've seen with like Grand Theft Auto. So it's just a matter of getting them to stick. And I don't know. So EA is just kind of saying you can still do single player, like, but maybe not as linear. And we look at Red Dead, and that proves a point. But
Yeah.
I still
but-
feel Detroit, like people still have an interest in something that is completely linear, but tells a good story.
Yeah, I think about games like The Last of Us, Uncharted.
I like The Last of Us. I didn't play it
Yeah.
until after a while.
Those are like
whenever
masterclass
they did the
games.
remaster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amanda still hasn't played it. She's just been, I don't know.
You gotta do it.
She's now dipping her toe in the single player PlayStation games.
I mean, I used to play a bunch of single player PlayStation games like back in the day, but when I got the PlayStation 4, I don't know, I was like late to the party because I was broke. And it was kind of when I took a little hiatus when like school was getting crazy and I was working like 3 jobs and I had a little shit show of a life going on. So like I took a little hiatus from gaming, and then I got the PlayStation, and I immediately bought like some of the more popular like multiplayer games so I could play with my friends and shit. And then I had bought a few like story mode games, but then I got a PC right after, so it was hard for me to like find the time to like not play with my friends online on my new PC and go play a PlayStation game that I don't know.
Like, it seems to me, and this is just weird because I mean, obviously, like I'm not that old. I'm 25, but in the whole like grand scheme of things, I've been gaming for a long time, and I've been kind of less and less am I excited for single player projects from big studios. It seems like when I sit down to play anything now, there is always that social experience. And I don't know like necessarily whether that's my own choosing, whether I'm just not seeking out alternatives, or that is a significant shift in, focus for, big developers and small developers, because you just don't get that experience anymore.
Well, in my opinion, I feel like it has to go through the development of the internet as we've grown up. I mean,
More and more ways to connect.
Exactly. When we were younger, the internet was harder and harder to, get into. Game devs had to figure out how to get into the internet to do the multiplayer. Therefore, they were only throwing out single player stuff. And then slowly with the, Xbox, PlayStation 2, they were slightly able to get into there. And then, once the 360 and PS3 hit, then, I mean, it was already, they were already in the mindset to get people playing together. And with that, there was a market to flood, and they did it.
Right. So I guess the question we're trying to answer is, will it continue? Right? Will games like Detroit become less and less frequent until they eventually die out? Is Detroit kind of like the Unforgiven, like what that was for the Western genre? Something made far after the fact that doesn't really have a lot of relevancy, but grabbed onto an audience based on how quality it was.
I don't think so. I think there's always going to be single player games, and I think people are always going to like it. Like, I think of people like Tina, or I don't know, like some people just prefer that. I know a lot of people who are gamers and prefer playing games by themselves because they find it relaxing or unwinding, or like they don't have to, like, you can pop in a story mode of any game really and put it on easy and just coast, and that's fun, and you can sit on your couch and you can chill, and I think people like that.
You don't have to worry about somebody like, destroying your ear or something on voice comm. Like,
yeah, you don't have to worry about like salty people. You don't have to worry about like, huge skill caps and this and that. I mean, for me, I prefer playing online because I do kind of like dealing with the salty people and
I like talking shit too.
I feel like it didn't really become an issue until, I mean, kind of like you were saying, Brandon, like it was single player games for a while just because there was no multiplayer as we know it now. So what you saw is, okay, we built a single player game and we kind of fucked around with some multiplayer modes. We're going to, let you guys play around on it, whatever. There's multiplayer, have fun. And then they slowly got to a point where multiplayer was what people kind of wanted from certain genres. Like shooters wouldn't be what they are without multiplayer, obviously, right?
Yeah, you'd get bored.
So you see games now, and shooters kind of lead the way where they're dropping that single player story and just giving you the multiplayer. And I think that's when people were kind of just like, whoa, wait, I enjoyed that single player. Like I still enjoyed the effort you guys put into that to give me some short, fun story that kind of let me still play the game, like you guys are saying, without having to get too stressed. But I could play it maybe on a hard mode and like earn some cool stuff. But now that you're getting rid of that, it feels like, well, I don't know, that was something that a lot of people look forward to. I know I like the Call of Duty storyline. Like, I thought it was so
Until
ridiculous.
it got
but fun.
crazy. Like,
Well,
it
that's
was
what made it
funny.
fun. Like the Modern Warfare series, I was like, oh, this is so ridiculous.
The Modern
and
Warfare
fun.
Oh,
was
no,
fucking
World at War. That was my game.
Right.
So, I mean, like-
Same.
I still enjoyed that. Like Battlefield started to put in single player, and I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, let's
Yeah.
check that out. And I enjoyed it
Yeah,
to
the
a
sort of
point.
Bad
Like,
Company, the single
Yeah,
player. Like,
yeah,
Bad-
yeah.
That was that was lit. That was awesome.
I forgot about that one. But yeah, that was like
Being no
one of
good
their first.
company.
I think that game devs are just approaching this point now where it's like, we can go down one of two roads. We can spend, I don't know, 5-8 years working on this huge open world game, or maybe even not open world. Maybe it's just a linear game, and hope that at the end of it it pays off. And maybe we put out like an expansion pack a year and a half later, or we can spend a few years working on an online like shell of a game, like say Destiny or something. And we just continue to add on to that after it launches.
Come back to it over and over, but Grand Theft Auto 5, it was originally, they did GTA Online, and they still said, like, we're going to do single player expansions, DLC for you guys. Like,
Yeah.
everyone's like, oh, that's awesome, great.
Yeah, and then
Cancel that shit and just fully dove into that multiplayer microtransaction shit, because like you're saying, it's like, why waste my time making single player content where some people won't bother with it at all
Yeah.
because they're spending all their time on the online mode and they're willing to drop money on that over and over rather
Yes.
than once.
yeah, the shell of a game, like online structure type of thing, it's like that's just so much more profitable in the long run.
Yeah.
Is that basically the whole like games as a service? Are you thinking along like that line? Like that's
Yeah.
what they're calling it, where it's like, no, this game is gonna, we're gonna keep giving you stuff.
I mean, people
Yeah,
are
and-
mad at like Overwatch for not having a story mode. Like, you know how they come out with like these little small mission things that you can do for like the events.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are like not begging, but like really, really hoping for like a single player, like kind of like long-ish story. But they're not going to put it out. They're not going to. Like,
No.
I feel that in my soul. But why would people be asking for that? Such a heavily like that's an online multiplayer game. Like if single player like linear storylines are dying, then why would all these people that are seemingly content in this game and this format be asking so much for something that is supposedly dying? It just kind of doesn't make sense to me. And I think whoever came up with that was severely mistaken. They need to do more market research.
I mean, Overwatch did a really good job in establishing characters and giving you just enough story to like want to learn more. So they like trickle that shit into you, and then you're just like, give me more shit, more shorts, give me a movie. And,
I
like,
love
don't know,
those shorts.
it's like engagement
too.
in a sense. Like
Also, we're gonna partake in the first nut.
first,
I'm taking the
Give me-
first nut.
Give me Diva in a swimsuit.
right? Like,
Let me see your
geez,
feet.
that's so
Like,
much-
what the hell? That's
Yeah,
so weird.
I think her and I talked. I was like, oh god, it's barefoot. Oh no.
Do you know originally Moira's like character design was supposed to have tentacles, and they were like, "Why did you guys chicken out of that?" It's like, because they had mercy on us. Like, they know their fan base.
We
We can't have a
we're gonna make
tentacle.
money off of every aspect of Overwatch, and we do mean every. We may not admit it, but we know. We know.
No character will ever be younger than 18 because of the internet.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, 100%. So Brandon, what do you think? How are you? How are
How's
you
the
doing?
nuts?
That was nut number one, and that was pretty spicy.
Spicy nut.
Spicy nuts.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest aspects to this, and kind of a wild card, will be sort of the next generation, so to speak. Because you think about something like Fortnite. You know, as cancer as that game is in a lot of ways, it attracts a lot of really
Has
young
a single
players.
player mode, kind of.
Mhm.
Kind of, but like it encourages that microtransaction type, relationship between you and your developer and the games that you play. People are getting used to that. They're growing up with that. Like what's going to happen later on down the line.
And if it was just a single player offline story mode game, you wouldn't be as tempted to upgrade your shit for like microtransactions, because who are you showing it off to? No one, because
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
you. So you won't really care. But when you're online, you're like, no, I want everyone to see my stupid shark hammer thing. That's cool to me.
Fallout 76.
Yeah. Like, again, if that was just you by yourself, you wouldn't care to buy any cosmetics, would you? Like, but
Oh God, no.
I don't buy any cosmetics for anything ever, usually, anyway, but
Thinking about buying some bushes in War Thunder to put on my tank.
There you go.
do it.
The super glue put you right there.
Is there a game that you guys are like, I will drop money on their DLC
Overwatch.
every time? Ah, fucking Thomas. You just buy loot boxes?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never bought a loot box.
I've given
And,
him
like,
money. The
it's-
first like 2 years, I gave him a little bit of
Maybe
money.
that's
for-
what Briggs
so-
says. Put me on a loot box. Yeah.
It's so fucking weird because like before I really got into Overwatch, like Overwatch is like the only game that I buy microtransactions in.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
fucking weird.
Like,
Any other
it's
game, I'm
pretty-
just like no.
any-
How much
Pretty
money have you
scrubby
spent
and
on
War
it?
Thunder.
I don't even want to say.
Oh,
Probably
jeez.
Is it that bad?
like $100.
Oh, geez. That's more than I thought.
Yeah. I usually buy like $20 in loot boxes like every holiday, and I've been doing that for like. Because I mean, you get most of this. You get like 20 something loot boxes.
I
So
think
you
I
can get,
bought
like,
it
a lot
the
of this
game
stuff.
when it was on sale, so then I justified dropping $20 on loot boxes later, and then I dropped like another 40 at some point, and that's it.
Oh my god, you
Yeah.
guys.
But that was like in the first 2 years, and I haven't bought any.
Blizzard has enough money.
I'm
So-
kind of starting my downward slide into that, like especially with War Thunder. Like it's pretty. It's not pay to win, but it's like pay to get a significant advantage. And like as long
Yeah.
as
Does that
I
have
keep-
premium ammunition?
No, there's no premium ammunition, but you can buy the bushes.
Wait,
that's kind of the big
do
thing.
the tanks have it? I thought it's either World of Tanks or War Thunder that has like premium ammunition.
That's probably World of Tanks. But the thing about War Thunder is you can buy premium tanks, and they're not
Oh.
necessarily better. But like I've got this kid that I've been playing with that's been advising me on like the premium tanks. And he's like, "Oh, such and such premium tank's good, but you may not want to spend that much money." And I like got my card, and I'm like, What'd you say?"
Take my
Do you mind
money.
flashing that card again for us?
Yeah. So like.
Slower.
And as long as it doesn't, like, I think about it in the same sense, like it's just a hobby, and like I spend a lot of money on hobbies anyway,
Mhm.
so I don't know. That's how I
Yeah.
sleep at night.
I mean, I think the Total War series is a series I buy like most of the games that release. The Warhammer ones I've bought pretty much all but one DLC at this point. So, I mean, I don't know. I think we all have our little guilty pleasures. But yeah, Amanda, what are you dropping money in? You don't really.
To be honest,
Indulge.
I don't indulge. Like, I don't know. I don't buy any cosmetics in any games usually. I don't know. I indulge in more games or peripherals for my computer or weird stuff for streaming
Boring.
or like buttons and stickers. I don't know.
Your buttons
So
and your
I'm
stickers.
Yeah.
100% on Amanda's side where I don't really indulge in the in-game buy.
I
Never
have a
have.
question for you, Garrett.
What?
Have you like played Artifact at all, or do you know what that is?
No. I've
'Cause,
heard some things about it. I know what it is, but
Yeah, Billy
Yeah.
brings up in the chat, talking about it, and it's
Billy?
like, yeah, Bill Simmons.
Oh boy, I
Um,
love
Bill.
Billy. He's like,
Artifact is basically
Yeah.
like it's a Steam game or a Valve game, and it's like Hearthstone, but you have to pay for it.
yeah, that's
And
what
then
I heard.
you-
Is like you actually have to buy in and buy cards.
Yeah, and then once you get in, you have to like buy cards with money. So
So, I mean, which I don't know.
And
Like,
you can't like play with other people unless you do.
oh, I mean, I don't know. Hearthstone and Arena are card games are obviously gonna have microtransactions. How else
Yeah.
do they work? Like, they give you the weekly challenges to get packs and cards, but
never
at a certain
enough.
point, they want you to want more than the trickle, and
Yeah.
it's hard to be competitive unless you buy in. So it's like I don't know, but I don't see it as predatory because like if you play the real life version, it's the same shit.
But
Like
I feel like I have less of a hard time buying real life Magic cards or whatever have you card game it might be, but I am getting a physical thing, and I feel
Yeah,
like buying
exactly.
packs of Magic cards
Yeah,
on
okay.
a computer,
Yeah.
like I can't. Like I maybe can, but like it stresses me out more because I'm like I'm just giving you money so that I can have like this digital.
Well,
like,
let's go over
card.
to like the Pokemon in their trading card game online. You get a
wait, they have one?
they do,
I did not know
What?
that.
and in every single physical pack that you buy, there is a code card for
Yeah.
redeeming the same pack.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna bring up with her. I was
That's
gonna be like,
better.
I wish just if I buy a real life booster, it gives
Yeah.
me a booster in game.
Yes.
So
Yeah, that'd be pretty dope.
Especially because you know that the people are playing MTG Arena probably play actual Magic, right? Or
Exactly.
we're thinking that they do. So you're
Yeah.
basically saying one
Why
or the
not
other when
integrate it?
you're basically saying like, hey, one or the other. You have to choose
Yeah.
basically. Are
And
you gonna play online
regardless-
or are you gonna go
Mhm.
places and play?
Regardless, it's the same company. They're still getting money out of it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like if you play the real life version, it draws you to Arena, and then if you play Arena, it kind of draws you to the real life version.
But you should be able to have like the same decks that you have in real life online so that you can I don't know. I feel like
And that's
I would totally
where the online
bypass that if that was.
microtransaction goes to.
It'd be really
Yeah.
cool if we got to a point where we could just scan cards, and then you could like if you went out to like Walmart or whatever, bought a booster, scanned all the cards in, and you got them in like Magic the Gathering
Yeah,
Arena.
like that's what I want. Like if they can
Well,
make
there's
that,
kind
by
of
all
apps
means.
that have that.
That's
Like
what
there's
they used to
there's
do that.
categorizing apps that allow you to just scan the card and it'll recognize it and then file it. I'm like, okay, if this app can have that, why can't
But here's the
these
issue.
games?
Here's the
Oh,
issue.
we have the technology.
What
The
if
money.
you have a really dope ass deck and I want to play that shit online? You come over, I scan all your cards into my shit. Now what?
Now we both have it.
But then that would happen a lot, and people would like be like, "Hey, let me scan all your cards," and then they'd have lesser
Well-
sales, and they don't want that.
In my opinion, it's I'm not gonna it's a weird word to put into it, but the gambling, the RNG side of it, that is, getting that code card pack and seeing what you're getting out of there. It's that second little what if that you're getting out of the pack.
Mhm.
I mean,
Instead of
mean,
just-
like,
yeah,
It's basically like a physical loot box. Like
Exactly.
yeah,
A
but I pulled a planeswalker yesterday. And it was great. It was a lot of fun.
So we're gonna go on to the number 2 nut of the night.
I have a
Busted.
question though. How come loot boxes and booster packs and cosmetic crates and whatever skin you want to put on it, how come that's not considered gambling? It is, right?
That's what they're
I think
Yeah,
by
investigating now.
definition, yeah.
It's,
it's-
but why are we allowed to do it? Why is everyone allowed to?
Legally, I think that's changing, isn't it? Like,
The law doesn't keep up with technology, so
No.
they're trying to catch up on it.
You all right
and
there,
then
bud?
it'll probably
Oh, that was
change.
a spicy boy. That
Spicy
hit my
nuts.
uvula.
Spicy nuts in your mouth?
So I mean, yeah, we can go back and we can beat this loot box horse with the gambling thing. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of been, re-sparked now that the FTC is actually looking at it. So I mean, you already have precedent with was it Belgium just
Mhm.
saying it's illegal. Don't put that shit in games. And EA trying to be like, we're still gonna do it, and then take you to court and continue to sell it this way. So I mean, they're obviously gonna fight it because that's a lot of fucking money, and they have
100%.
investors to make
Yep.
happy.
It's like $1 billion industry.
It's insane. Like you look at how much they make from microtransactions and
Yeah, it's
loot
it's
boxes.
to the point where it's like most of the revenue of the game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
no,
Candy Crush.
absolutely.
That's so predatory though, because Candy Crush, like, there's these old people fucking spending like hundreds of dollars a week on Candy Crush, and like they don't even realize it's
They don't have
dead.
anything better to spend it on.
They
Yeah, I
put
mean, like-
Farmville and Candy Crush and bullshit that still exists. Can you believe this shit still exists? I
Not my
can.
children. No one's getting my money.
Oh my god, it's
Just
crazy.
like getting their retirement check every month, and like half of it's going to Candy Crush.
Like
Yeah.
Candy Crush. They live in a fucking refrigerator box, but it doesn't matter because they're playing Candy
Because
Crush.
they're so good at Candy Crush. Like my dad with Battle Pirates. Like, let me tell you, that's so predatory in my opinion.
Oh man, we had to watch my grandma. Like, you know,
Oh,
we had to
no.
eventually make her stop. We had to make her understand, like, Grandma, this is real money.
Like
You can't
it's
keep
not just a
doing
button on your phone. Like it's connected
Yeah, you
to
can't,
someone's
like, you
card.
gotta stop.
Oh
We
my
need to
God.
take an hour and just talk about the internet and all of its, like, pitfalls and why you shouldn't be doing this. Get off Facebook.
It used to be the other way around, which is the funny part. It used to be like, don't spend all your money, like, don't do this, don't do that, and now we're like having to tell the adults, like, not that we're not adults,
Yeah.
guys, but the adultier adults, we have to tell them, like,
Well, like, the
hey.
super old people and the super young people are the ones that need the education.
Yep.
Like, don't steal your parents' card and spend it all on V-Bucks, you know, or whatever. Like, don't,
But
you know, blow all your, you know, retirement check or whatever. Like, just,
Social Security isn't for Candy Crush, guys.
yeah, it's grandparents and young children.
It's kind of funny though, like if you
It
think about
kinda
it, because it's like, and you thought we were stupid for spending all our money on video games, and here you are spending all your money to get like a cow in Farmville. That's weird.
Not only are you a hypocrite, but you're also a dumbass and you're out of touch.
Yep.
You tell him.
so speaking of saving money, Sony announced that they're pulling out of E3 next year. Not even going to show up. Not doing a press conference. They're skipping town, saving some bucks.
Yep.
I mean, even Nintendo, I don't think they've completely pulled away from it, but they've shown that you can create your own platform to hand out news. You don't need to wait for these expos anymore. You can just go straight to your fucking players. So I don't know. Even with something like the Game Awards, you're kind of starting to see a new platform arise where people are like, wait, they're making announcements at the fucking Game Awards. Like, they're not waiting for E3 anymore. They're doing it at the end of the year holiday, saying, hey, next year during this time, you'll have this game. Like, so, I mean, are these bigger, basically press conference expos kind of still going to be a thing? Is it worth it to, like, pay millions of dollars to basically put on a show just for press to sit in a room and watch, and then maybe get some hands-on time with, when you can just now give them a code for a demo they can download on their own fucking console at home that they have to sign like an NDA with? And like Red Dead people, apparently Funhouse, they had a whole console with Red Dead early, and they were like, no, you need to lock this shit up when you guys leave the office. Don't leave it plugged into anything. No one else gets to touch this fucking console with this game on it. Like, there's-
Smart.
so like, you can kind of do it other ways than being like, fly your people out here. Like, I don't know. Are expos still really going to be a thing
Nope.
other than community ones?
I think they're dying. I think that because you can just put out shit on YouTube and with like Facebook and Reddit and everything else, like the shit gets spread around way faster. Like I feel like when I'm watching the trailers from E3, like sometimes like I see the trailers before people actually at E3. Like, you know what I mean? Like like the internet's crazy. So unless you're in the right place at the right time at E3, you're missing shit more than the people sitting at home. So why go?
I want to answer that with a story, like the whole like, question.
Oh god.
So when the Xbox 360 came out, I remember the night that it was revealed, like the night of, I guess, like the first sales or whatever. It was a big event. And what was that game channel that like everybody, it was like G3 or something?
Oh yeah.
G4.
And I remember watching that shit, but the caveat was I was tremendously ill. I had like a stomach bug and all this stuff, and I really needed to be in bed, you know, recovering from this like horrific problem that I had. But I didn't. I stayed up and watched the Xbox 360 launch, and I'm like, fucking woohoo, like throwing up and all this shit. But I have never felt that since that night. Like the hype just sort of started to die for me. Like the whole expo thing, the big hype, the reveal, the launch, like that just, you know, it sort of disappeared, and it felt like it happened naturally over the course of my life, to where I wasn't really as like, I just wasn't really as excited or motivated to pay attention to it. Like I don't watch those award shows, so yeah,
That's
I feel
kinda
like they are
sad,
dying in
though.
a lot of ways. In a way, but like
It is, yeah.
I remember the
because-
hype too, and now I'm sad that like it doesn't. I don't get that. Like that was fun for me.
I think that it just like a lot of things have changed. I think it like we have changed in a lot of ways in how we approach the market. Maybe we're a little more cynical now. Maybe we're a little bit more rarefied, and like as far as our tastes are concerned and what we like. But it never really reached like that was the dragon that I never decided to chase.
I think it's just the way we consume news as well. Kind of, you brought it
Yeah.
up. There's so many platforms. Like, I don't have to wait for that one obscure cable channel to like have their people
Yeah.
kind of be like, this is the trailer that we just saw at the press conference an hour ago. If you didn't catch that, here it is again. No, like, I can go YouTube E3 trailers and it'll fucking do it, and then
Any
I
fucking
probably
time.
have the whole press conference. Like,
Well, how many of you have cable at your house?
At all.
I don't.
Nope.
Nope.
No one does.
Okay,
Oh my god, that's
there it
crazy.
is.
Do you? No one
There it
has
is.
cable.
That's the
I can
reason.
get it for
that.
free, and I don't even want it.
there's no need.
Because who
Like,
cares? Like,
Yeah.
There's
I
alternates
don't want
to it.
commercials every 10
I
minutes.
will
TV
say
sucks.
this, like, there's like, at least for me anyways, there's like this mysticism about E3, and like I've always been like a PlayStation fanboy, so like specifically Sony's press conference, like it's just this like yearly tradition that like me, my brother, and like some of our friends get together. We just like we just all like powwow in someone's room and just watch the press conference.
So are you
And,
not gonna do it this year because there's no Sony? So
they're
you're
not
just
gonna
not
be there.
gonna watch E E3.
so- I mean, now that I own like a PC and
There's PC Game Show now.
yeah, like I'll definitely watch like what Microsoft and like Devolver, Nintendo, or whatever they have to offer. Because like I own like pretty much every system now, but like back when I was a fucking broke ass kid. I mean, I'm still a broke ass kid, but like I just have more shit now.
Less broke though, slightly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
back then it was like it was special, and I'm kind of sad to see it go.
I am too. I remember like staying up, like my family, like the people in my family, they don't care about any kind of games, but like I would have like some friends over, and we would stay up and watch it. And I don't know, I am really sad to see it go, but is it?
I mean, it's not gone. It's not gone.
But
not
it's
fully-
dying though.
We don't need to rip it yet. Like,
We're
Right.
putting it in the ground.
it's just if
E3.
someone big like Sony is willing to just be like, I'm gonna dip or take my toe out of this pool. Don't really need it. I can hold my own fucking press conference on
Yeah, exactly.
whatever date I please. And a lot of these articles are saying that they think it could just be they have nothing else to really show other than the games they already showed last year. So why hold a whole press conference for the same shit again?
Yeah, because they're just gonna be like, we still have this coming, and the PS5
they-
maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not going to announce the PS5 this year.
You
They'll
guys
probably
want
do it in
that, right?
2020. I mean, it's when you think about it, this generation's been out since 2013. So I mean, it is getting old.
I hope they
So-
don't like skip a bunch of numbers and do like the PSX. You know what I mean? Like that's stupid.
Well, I mean, that's
to me.
okay. Xbox reverted himself back, going from 360 to 1.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
weird. I didn't like
Dice, and they're
that.
just like, we're just gonna name it one.
That's
It's
weird.
just-
Yeah.
Why not?
I hope
Yeah.
whatever they name it, it looks like what you'd find on like a copier. R2773F symbol you don't recognize.
X-Bone. I remember that
feel-
from your Chromecast or something.
Yeah.
No, what was it from? Something
Oh,
where
sorry, I
you,
didn't
you
call
shortened
my
Xbox
I
One
didn't
to
call it
X.
Xphone.
Oh no, your TV does. Your TV, where you plug in your Xbox One, it shortens it to X-Bone, and it's really funny to me.
Oh
amazing.
yeah.
X-Bone.
But
Yeah,
if
Xbox
people,
One.
like if Sony pulls out and it turns out to be a positive move for them, if it becomes obvious that people don't care, I think we will see more people do it. It's just kind of like penguins all like huddled together and about to like not one of them falls off the little like ice cliff and they don't get eaten by anything and then they all jump in.
Yeah.
So Sony's
I
the
saw-
first penguin.
I saw someone else kind of bring up. They were talking about just with the reaction that you see from the Immortals announcement, and just like the crowd's getting to a point where they'll let you know kind of immediately how they feel about your
Yeah.
announcement. So it's like, do you risk having a whole room of people just kind of all of a sudden pissed off at you instead of just allowing them to watch a video at home and go, nah, not my thing?
Yeah, because
I
like
think-
the internet booing is less stressful than a crowd booing.
Well, and it creates really bad press too, because the internet will pick up on that, and they'll have something like solidified that they can point to, and say, "Hey, look, people are pissed. Now let me write 500 articles about it."
You make a meme out of the clip
Yep.
and all that.
You're basically just
What's up,
opening yourself
Dave?
up to the worst kind of criticism. Live criticism.
Yeah. Mean YouTube comments. I don't know, like I get the nostalgia. You guys kind of all touched on that. Like everyone's a little nostalgic about the whole watching a press conference, waiting for that one trailer you know is going to be in there. You just don't know when. Like that's all. I mean, even the Cyberpunk fucking trailer. Like
Yeah.
everyone knew it was going to be there, but no one really knew when. So it popped up, and everyone's just like, "Oh shit, here it is, finally!" Like there's still that spark, but at the same time, there's the Red Dead teasers and shit that show up on YouTube. I'm like, "Oh shit, it's out today! Oh fuck!" Like it's pretty much released by the time I'm up. So I mean, just
Well, I
give
mean,
me
like-
a date that you're releasing it, and I'm gonna catch it.
Yeah, I mean, Rockstar is like infamous for not being at E3, so I mean, they don't have to be. They
Yeah.
can just put some shit out, and fucking a billion people will buy it. So
I think that's the thing
Yeah.
though. Like no one has to be anymore, but they still do
No,
for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, that's another company that you can say like they don't make a strong presence, and they still do well. So like, what are you getting from E3? You know, is it
Hype.
actually good for the little guys? Like you kind of hear about it. Like whenever G4 would do the showroom floor pieces, they would try to talk to like indie developers and give them like their quick elevator pitch moment, and that was it. Like no one's talking about the indie games, so I don't feel like E3's ever been something for the little
No.
guy. Like it's always been a big spectacle. It's a show. Like it's something for us to all go, oh shit, that game, that one game. Oh.
You drop tons of money on your presentations. You make it as hype as you possibly can. You flex your corporate muscle to the greatest degree of which you're capable.
Yeah, flute
But,
dude. I mean,
you know,
why?
On the other hand, it is still a good way for, you know, might not be as much for the big guys, but for the little guys, just showing out things that they have coming out. You know, it's.
I think it's good
publicity for 'em.
networking for the little guy because
Yeah.
you get to rub shoulders with big guys.
But they
So
get
it's
like
kind of like, hey,
overshadowed.
like that's what I'm saying. Like they're not getting press outside of it. There, it's kind of almost internal marketing for the little guy there. in
Yeah,
my
it's
opinion.
not getting the press, but it's getting people engaged.
I mean, we have seen like, especially Microsoft does this a lot with E3, where like they have a certain amount of time during their press conference that is devoted for indie games. I think that's important, but like, I think that's only because they don't have a strong first party presence like Sony does with like Sucker Punch with Ghost of Tsushima. I think I'm saying that right, and like Naughty Dog with The Last of Us Part 2.
Mhm.
I'm blanking on the other ones that they showed, but Sony's like they showed their hand, I think, and like them not being at E3 next year either means that they don't have anything else to show and they don't want to just like bore people, or it means that maybe the PS5 is coming next year and they're just gonna do their own event.
The PS Bone. I'm just kidding.
I mean, I think the PS5 announcement is on the horizon, but I kind of think it is tilted towards just lack of new things to really show off and
Yeah.
get people hyped.
And they don't
Like,
want
you're
to
not going to fill a room of 1,000 people this year because it's just going to be the same shit, and you still don't have release dates. So it's just kind of like, cool, a new trailer, yay.
Call
No
of
new
Diablo
news, really.
Mobile. Call.
I think about how I consume trailers though, and how that's changed, and I come to realize like the Doom Eternal trailer, for instance. I watched that, and then immediately I went and watched a breakdown of it. So like I watched the 2-minute trailer. I then go watch the 14-minute video where the super fucking Doom nerd breaks down every little like symbol on every little wall, and it is very removed from the old school way of like, hey, catch this on TV. Like it's really advanced so much that I don't think that I think that Sony are going to set a precedent. I think it's just going to keep rolling. I don't think anyone's going to have any interest in it in the long term.
Agreed. Sony's the first penguin.
Yeah, they're the
So
first
it
penguin.
is the first
Let's
thing.
hope they don't get eaten.
They won't. Like they won't.
I think they'll be fine.
I think they can hold their own. But like it's crazy because like kind of what you sort of brought up, like the way we consume everything has changed. Like I think about how, like I watch a show right now. Say I binge watch a show on Netflix and I watch all 10 episodes. Immediately after, I go to YouTube and watch someone talk about it to see what they thought. Like I don't know if everyone does that. I know Garrett does, kind of, like more than anybody I know. He does that shit. But
Fan theories.
I feel like when I was watching Westworld, like that was so interesting after I watched the episode to go hear what some fucking YouTuber said about what he thinks like is coming in the next episode, like with the cliffhanger and what the direction he thinks it's going in. So like I think we don't like, it's like if E3 is just a side note, like we're literally just recapping the information online and then pretty much going straight to videos about what everyone else thought about the trailers. Like we don't even we don't need the event, and they can get equal amount of publicity.
It's like the Kentucky Derby of like the modern era. Like,
It is.
Yeah, we still have it, but why? Nobody remembers. We all just go and get really drunk.
And wear funny
Yeah.
hats.
I have a question for you guys. Like, Bethesda made a big deal about having a press conference, what, 3 years ago now, and they've been there ever since. But now after Fallout 76 and the whole kerfuffle, is Bethesda gonna have a press conference?
Not unless they're gonna fucking just be like, oh, here's
My
all
bad,
this
guys.
guys. Here it is. Don't be mad at us. Because other than that, what do you talk about? The next DLC for Fallout 76 that
Everyone
no
will boo
one's gonna
them.
give a shit about?
Yeah.
It'd be like the
Like-
kid.
Oh, go ahead. Tim. Sorry.
It'd be like the kid that does something really embarrassing and they don't want to come to school the next day. And when they do, they're like fucking hiding, you know, in their locker, like with their head stuck in it. If they have another press conference, that's effectively what's going to be happening because everybody's thinking it, and that's not going away.
Agreed. They just should save themselves the trouble and just not show up
Stay
to
home.
their own
I'm
press
sick
conference.
today.
So, Thomas, did you watch E3 last year? Pretty close. Did you catch the Xbox Microsoft press conference?
Yeah, I did.
Didn't they kind of make more of a commitment to not put on a big show and just kind of go, here's fucking games, bro? Like they just kind of started just throwing them out without trying to do all the showmanship between.
Yeah, that's kind of. So Xbox tried. I think when this generation started, they were like, "Oh, TV and your Xbox, it works
Oh,
together," and
Jesus,
all that
yeah.
bullshit.
They were like, it's a set-top box, not a
And
video game
Sony
console.
was like,
Video game console. We're a video
just the
game
games.
console.
Yeah, we're a video
That's
game
all they had to
console,
do.
and here's the
That's
fucking
all they had
games.
to say is we're a video game console, not a set-top
And-
box.
Yeah, this year, Microsoft really doubled down on the Sony approach. Is like, here's all the games. We're just gonna give you all the games. We're gonna fucking just blast you with games.
We're not
Yeah,
hiding
we're gonna
anything.
shut up
And,
and show you.
And Sony, I think, took a more measured approach where they were like, here's 4 big games with The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Days Gone, I think was the other one, and fuck. I don't remember the fourth one, but there were 4 major games, and then there
Cyberpunk,
was
was that Sony? I don't remember.
no, I don't think so. Cyberpunk was at Microsoft's, I believe.
I was like, I don't remember who did it, but
Yeah, it was.
And during the Microsoft one, they did amongst the big games, small games. They said, I believe they announced they were acquiring 4 or 5 new first-party studios.
Yeah.
So I got a feeling that in the coming,
Didn't they buy?
Years.
Speaking of Bethesda, didn't they buy Obsidian? Who
yeah,
made
Microsoft
New
acquired
Vegas?
Obsidian recently.
what?
Yeah,
So a lot of people are kind of like rip Obsidian, but at the same time, Obsidian's like, no, we
Well-
have money now.
well,
Yeah.
they Obsidian's game is going to be at the Game Awards this year.
Oh, okay.
So
that's
yeah,
awesome.
it's going to be pretty fun.
I can dig it.
I think that an overblown presentation now would be kind of out of place. You know, I just can't really imagine a company or a developer coming out with pyrotechnics and some dude fucking slides out playing the guitar.
Yeah.
It would just look so ridiculous now. This sort of low-key presentation style has been predominant in the last few years, and I think people are pretty much, everybody can kind of agree that this is what we want out of, E3 if it's going to even be a thing.
I agree. That would be awesome for the memes, but for
Right,
for
but-
actual like presentation value. I
Be
I
like,
feel
hey,
like the
LOL,
internet
that
would
was
do.
stupid. Next.
Yeah,
I
it's kind of like
agree
when
with the
EA
pages.
talks. It's kind of like when EA talks about fucking FIFA for like
No.
30 minutes, and like no one gives a shit.
Like, you
I mean,
kick a ball.
people give a shit, but like the people who are gonna buy FIFA aren't watching E3. They're gonna buy it
No.
like on some fucking like during Christmas or some shit. Like
Yep.
I don't know. It's just not understanding your audience. Kind of like the Doom stuff with Blizzard.
Yeah.
People nowadays just don't have the same attention span to watch something like that as they did before. That's one of the biggest things. And then you have the kids nowadays that just want that niche genre, like the Fortnite kids. That's pretty much all they're wanting to look for. Something
I mean,
for an
Kids,
expansion.
do you think kids kind of just find their one game and then stick with that now?
I
Yes.
did.
They're not
Oh
really.
yeah.
I mean, I found myself playing a few different titles with my friends growing up. Like, we had like Ghost Recon we would play, Call of Duty, whatever that year's release was. I mean, we had like a few games that we would jump between, but like it seems like now it's just, nope, I play Fortnite and that's it.
Yeah.
I play
It's on
Black Ops,
every
that's it.
fucking thing you could ever play, and it's
Platform.
all cross like play. So everyone can play it. So think about it, like, hey, so and so John and Jimmy are playing Fortnite. Okay, well, I guess I'll play it too because I could play this alone, or I could play this with everybody else I know.
But
So-
now it was a smartphone, like.
Something that I've
So-
noticed,
Mhm.
like switching to PC though, is there is a greater variance in game.
He died. That's it.
A dog
Yep.
had raided. Oh, she went right back out. That was cute. But anyway, like the PC platform is a lot more varied. Like I remember growing up, we played the big releases. Everybody was into Call of Duty, regardless of platform, because that was just the biggest and most available thing you had. Now the conversation goes a lot more like, "Hey, does everybody have X? I have X. Let's play X." Like it's
Yeah.
very interesting how the diversity in media is on PC as opposed to how it was on console growing up, and consoles kind of vamped a little bit of that too.
Mhm.
I always just played Call of Duty as a kid, and pretty
Same.
much all my friends
This is
were
all
on
there
it,
was?
so I just played it. And then if I wanted to play something else, I was basically saying, okay, I'm not going to play with my friends tonight. I'm going to play this because
Exactly.
this is something else that I want to play. So it just turned into
I
like,
wonder what other games are like.
what else exists? Yeah, so that's kind of
That's
how
how I feel right
like
now
it is.
with Overwatch.
What, that you only play Overwatch because everybody
Yeah.
plays Overwatch?
Yeah.
Nah, I just play other things anyway, and I basically do say, okay, I'm not playing with my friends today, but whatever. Like some days it's fun to like play other things. I don't know. Grr. Look at that painting.
Not
Or
bad.
not painting. That picture behind you, Garrett.
Yeah.
He hung it up
Before
today.
that one up.
How do you all
It's not
feel
even-
about like rogue style games?
Like
Well,
Driving.
like the roguelite stuff.
No.
I don't know.
Well, like games that are randomly generated at the beginning. You have your own different seeds,
I mean,
and then when you lose, it refreshes out.
Like Dead Cells?
I
Kind of,
mean,
yeah.
it's a valid game type. I don't think it's like super creative. I don't know if that's what you're asking. Like,
Well,
I think
no,
it's
like,
a game type. It's
the
fun.
game-
It
Mhm.
gives you replayability.
Because I've been really big on those recently, going through the Binding of Isaac and FTL.
Yeah, because like I don't know. What do you like about it? Like the permadeath kind of stuff.
Yeah, just you have that one chance to go through. There's no, it's all randomly based, and it's on your skill to get through. If not, then you get a do-over, but it's not the same layout.
I mean, that stresses me out, but I can see why people would like it because I like
well,
to know what's
technically
going
you
on.
do like it because it's Choice Chamber.
Yeah. Yep. that is
It's
it.
got its appeal.
But I wouldn't play Choice Chamber if it was a game that people weren't able to influence. I play it because of the fun of people in my stream being able to influence it. If that game just existed, I wouldn't play it. I don't like it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that I don't like it, but I don't like those kind of games. Usually.
Yeah, I don't play many roguelikes, but like you describing it reminded me of like in Bloodborne there was this like this like in-game well I guess it wasn't in-game but like there was this like side activity you could do called Chalice Dungeons, and that was like this randomly generated online dungeon you went through basically with like different bosses and stuff. And yeah, I played the shit out of Bloodborne, and it was like there was an achievement. I platinumed it, and there was like this achievement where you had to like go through all the Chalice dungeons, and yeah, that was something. It was pretty hard.
That was a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I never really connected with them, and I understand, like, the permadeath thing and the randomly generated, like, that's cool and all, but I just can't divorce my mind from the fact that, like, this brick wasn't supposed to be here. It could have been anywhere. This is just math. Like, and it sounds like I'm down on them, and I'm not. It's just, that's what I think, and, like, that's kind of what keeps me away. Like, I like the more crafted nature of some other game. Like, I like multiplayer games where the map can change. Like, Siege is really cool because it's the same map, but it can change based on, you know, other people interacting it.
And where
Battlefield says it is, but it's not because everybody just blows everything up.
I like
Battlefield
the
is, like-
maps being the same. I don't know. I like to be able to learn them. I think it's partially because I'm directionally challenged and I just have issues with that in general. So when the maps keep changing, I get confused and then I'm stressed.
Yep, pretty much.
Amanda stressed. The end. I have a question. Oh wait, what was our question?
Question.
Garrett, we had a question.
I don't even
I
remember
said,
original
ask the
question.
internet and ask the world, and then you were like, I'm gonna ask I'm gonna ask everyone on the podcast. We were talking about it.
Oh.
What was it? I don't remember.
If you had to visualize an image when someone she already lost it. So if you had to visualize an image for the phrase "I'm on a roll," what
would you
comes to mind?
visualize?
Oh my god, there's a giant croissant underneath me.
See?
Laying on top of it.
Okay, what else? What else we got?
It'd probably be for me like if there was like a boulder and you're like on top of the boulder and you're doing like the old like
You're like running on it.
yeah you're doing like that fucking dance where
Cartoon
you're like
shit. Yeah.
yeah
Okay.
So there's this guy, right? And he's wearing like assless chaps.
oh god
The caveat here is he's also got on like one of those like weird like commissar hats, you know, with like some kind of Armani jacket. But he's like surfing on like a Lincoln or something, and Matthew McConaughey's driving.
Oh,
And he's
that's
got a
great.
roll in one hand and an AK-47 in the other, and the like fucking synth wave is just like bursting out of the clouds.
That's really intense. I
And
picture
the sun
like
looks like
neon
Bob
vibes.
Ross.
Okay.
I can get down with that.
All right. Well, see, I told you at least one person had a similar thing.
Wow.
And that's just out of 3. I said, okay, so we were at brunch and I said something came up about I'm on a roll, and I was like, you know, when I hear I'm on a roll, I picture just like a miniature version of that person on like a dinner roll. And Garrett was like, what the fuck? And I was like, ask 10 people, at least one of them would visualize the same thing. and then one person did. So I think we're good.
There's the little like side story. There's actually a restaurant near me. It's called Lambert's Cafe. They're kind of like famous in a way, but they got this little thing they call the throwed rolls, and literally the servers, the big dining room, they serve massive portions for massive people. And like the waiters will
Okay.
toss you rolls. Like you can just like reach your hand up, like, hey, throw food at me, and then they'll like do it.
They throw
And,
it.
Yeah, they keep getting in trouble because people get hit in the face and all this
Yeah.
shit.
That is
it's a lawsuit.
Yeah, but they keep doing it. They don't
Prove
give a
that they
fuck.
threw it.
I
Put
love
sword
it.
in mine and throw it at me.
I love
You have to
that so
sign a
much.
waiver you can eat there.
I love it so
Jesus.
much. I
You
want
gotta
to
sign
be
a waiver
thrown
because the
rolls.
food that they give you will like murder your heart.
You guys got
Sounds
a
like
heart
a-
attack grill?
Hard
Yeah, I've
Attack
seen
Grill.
I think
Yeah.
that's what it's called.
Yeah, yeah.
You're over 300 pounds or something, you ate free.
Mhm.
What?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Sounds
You have
like
to-
a
Fucking-
Dick's Last Resort kind of deal where
Population.
they're just dicks to you, and
Them-
like they give you napkins. They'll just take a handful of napkins out of their apron and just throw them on the table.
I
Oh,
love
yeah.
that. But I don't know how they don't get in trouble for having if you're over 300 pounds, you eat free. Do they have a scale? Do they take your word for it? Do you have to?
Like I think like 2 people died in the restaurant, so they like
Yeah.
closed or something.
Oh, okay, good.
And like they make you wear like a hospital gown as well, and like they have like registered EMTs and like nurses there.
What?
We didn't think people were actually this
Yeah,
kind
it's pretty insane.
It's like an all-you-can-eat buffet.
I have a really good restaurant idea, but it's super controversial. So after the podcast, I'll tell you guys.
Oh Jesus!
Garrett's heard it.
Let's play a game. What does she offend?
I don't know. You guys can take a
How
guess.
is this controversial?
Ooh.
Find out
Amanda,
next
offending
time
tonight.
on
Is
Star
it-
Chef Podcast.
Is it racist?
Is it? No one's gonna know.
Apparently not. We will.
You guys will know.
eventually.
Don't judge me, guys. It's a really good idea. It's very pun filled. I love it.
Well, I
But I
guess
can't say it on
note-
here.
I guess on that note, we'll get out of here. Then.
Find out
What
next
this
time.
is. So that was it for us, guys. Once again, I am Garrett. We have Terrell, Thomas, Brandon, and Amanda. When are you guys streaming next? Anybody want to plug when your next
I
live
think
stream?
Thomas is streaming like after this.
Tonight, yep.
Oh
I actually have a
shit!
question. I have a question.
What
The answer is no. Good night, everybody.
I want to know if we're gonna do like a game of the year podcast, because I'd really like to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, we want to like all kind of bring something to the table and like
Yeah.
kind of make your spiel about it.
And maybe we all we each pick our individual game of the year, and then we all agree on one game as
Oh, okay.
a
I was
podcast.
So
like,
we all pick sides and then go for gold.
I'm like, what's my game of the year, or what do I think the game of the year will be?
I mean,
like,
we could do like vote for an actual game of the year, and then everyone can bring like an honorable mention to the table.
I can dig
Like,
it. That
you're
sounds fun.
Red Dead, but like, tell me about a game that isn't Red Dead. You're like, you should all really play this game.
Red
should
Dead.
really
Okay, something
play
that's not Red
Detroit.
Dead. Just Red Dead.
Red Dead every time.
Just Red Dead. We're almost done, by
Yeah,
the
I
way.
I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can dig it. I'm behind
We can
it.
maybe do something closer to like New Year's.
Yeah. Plus,
Yeah.
I mean, by the next time we record the podcast, the game awards will be over. So
Yeah,
Will
we
it?
can even kind of like.
Yeah,
talk
it's this
about that a
Thursday.
little.
Oh shit. Yeah. Okay.
Or,
Cool.
Like,
Euro Truck Simulator 2018 is going to win it. So
Oh shit.
Those games are so funny to me. I always
16
played
fucking
like
years.
Flight Simulator. We were talking about that today, and I could never land. And Garrett's
Oh,
like, he's
I got
like,
a funny
fun
ass story
fact.
about Flight
Okay, what is
Simulator.
it? Go.
So I jumped into that when I was like 9, and I didn't do any of the tutorial missions.
You just
Oh,
went.
Obviously. Oh yeah, I hopped in a 747 and mowed down half of fucking Seattle trying to take off. 'Cause I didn't know how. Like I was like, I'm pulling up on the stick, but nothing's happening, and I'm like, trees are fucking flying back. Like,
Flight
a
Simulator
wheel
is
and a
so
shitload of buttons.
hard. It's like really realistic. It like actually teaches you how to fly a plane, I think.
I mean, you could probably. I wouldn't like go right from Flight Simulator to Cessna, but
oh, I would.
No, but they use it like
No,
in
it's cool,
flight
dude.
school.
I did this on a game.
I got this. I can fly.
It would be a good like if you were gonna get your pilot's license. Like I would probably start out on Flight Simulator
And
before
see
you
if you
ever
can
went up
land.
in the air. Yeah.
I think
if
they
you
do.
die there. Yeah, probably.
flying wouldn't be the hard part. The hard part is landing.
Landing. Yeah, I could never land. I don't think
Most
I
important
landed
part.
once.
Yes.
It's
Oh, I
easy to
got
make
this.
things fly. It's the
There's a
whole
nine-
landing part.
There's a 9/11 joke there somewhere.
Yeah, Garrett said it today.
I'll let
He's
you
like,
guys
I
find
think
You
they
guys, did
use.
you guys know September 11th is actually Bring Your Plane to Work Day?
No, Garrett.
Oh, God.
Go on.
And with that, everybody,
Yeah,
we're outta
in
here.
the Positive Charge Dream Team chat.
That's a
Any
bad way to
complaints?
end
That's
it.
at Mandolin.
No.
Twitch.tv, Mandalay.
No.
What's up,
Spam your
NSA?
emails.
All right, we're out.
All right, dudes. Bye.
All
Later, guys.
right.
Bye.
See ya.